X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, ladies and gentlemen. Usually a little bit more high energy than this. I think everyone already knows why we're not today, at least why I'm not. So this is take 3 on trying to get this freaking show going. So we're just, it doesn't matter if this one sucks or not, we're just gonna keep on rolling with it. So you know, there's plenty of things to talk about, but obviously the big one is the passing of the greatest, probably the greatest wrestling personality of all time. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least right up there with any of them. Yeah. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Ugh. I don't know. Let's talk about Bobby like toward the end. And just talk about what else is going on in wrestling. And obviously, as always, joining us on the couch is Jimbo.
What's up, Sean?
Jimbo, do you like to be called by your government name at all?
No, that's fine.
No? All right. Denise Salcedo.
Hey, guys.
Sitting right next to him. And then right here at the table. At the big kids' table.
Aw. We're at the children's table.
I used to hate it when I had to eat at the kids' table.
Really?
Because I wanted to be in on all the conversation. You know? So, anyways, joining us here at the big kids' table, or at the adult table, is Bill Hanstock.
Jimbo's government name is actually Jimbothocles.
Yeah.
It's Greek.
Jim Bones.
Jim Bone.
I never had a kids table. I thought that was just something that we're having on television.
No. Yeah. You didn't either? TK Trinidad didn't have a kids table she sat at?
I was very nosy.
All TK's people are grown.
But we even got the toys over here, too, now that I think about it.
Yeah. So,
Prepared.
Hey, so what else is going on in the world of professional wrestling?
So Cyborg still has it out for Ronda Rousey, which is the most annoying thing. So it's just annoying to me. So the whole thing with Cyborg and Ronda Rousey, this fight would have been epic maybe 3 years ago or so.
It would have been epic if Cyborg could have made weight even once ever.
Right. She said she could have made weight, and Dana White was not allowing her. And, you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, sure.
Anywho, long story short, Cyborg always thought that she can beat Ronda, and obviously that's been proven by other folks. So now Cyborg sent out a tweet, and she's like, well, I want to, you know, do wrestling. WWE, WrestleMania, her and Ronda Rousey. Which is...
Yeah. I just don't know. Like, I really give a shit.
No.
I'm sorry. I care about Ronda Rousey still.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, regardless of the things she's been through or the fight she's lost or the, you know, whatever, you know.
Right. She still has
She's still Ronda effing Rousey.
Yeah. And it's just the thing with, I don't know what Cyborg's angle was with this thing.
I think it's smart of Chris Cyborg
to just continue bringing her name.
Absolutely. Why not? It keeps her in the news. We're talking about it right now.
Right. But don't you think, as every profession, so as a wrestler, the fact that she's like, well, you know, since Ronda's not doing UFC, she might be doing WWE now. She has for Chris Cyborg, I feel she has the audacity to think that she can just hop in a wrestling ring and then make it entertaining for folks. Like, that to me is kind of insulting.
Well, let's see what she's got. Let's see her fall flat on her face. Okay. You know, I mean, pretty much every MMA person I've ever known that's tried professional wrestling said it's extremely difficult. More difficult than what they do. Yeah. I mean, not in a different way. Mm-hmm. In a different way. So
also, like, Cyborg spent the past, like, 5 or 6 years calling people out and now in MMA.
Yeah.
Now she's moved into calling people out in pro wrestling. Like, she tried to start an angle with Becky Lynch. Now she's trying to start an angle with Ronda Rousey again, but in wrestling this time. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, she's trying to drum up business, but
she's just trying to get on TV.
What I think is weird is that also Ronda's coach was saying like, oh yeah, he would like to see her face Chris Cyborg, but it's like so many people, obviously some people blame him for Ronda's downfall. So it's really interesting to see like, why would you want that as her coach? I mean, many people can argue that Chris Cyborg would literally kill Ronda. So it's pretty interesting to see this conversation brought upon, and I do think that it's actually just Chris Cyborg trying to get her name out there, trying to get people to talk to her, and it's working. It really is.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not gonna be any WWE, WrestleMania, anything like that. It's just not. I just don't think anybody gives a shit.
Like you were saying, like 3 years ago when she was
it'll
hot
be
in
epic.
Strikeforce and she was hot in UFC and people wanted to see this fight, then it might have been something that people were going to pay to see. But right now, they're like, "Who are you?"
It's not like the potential of a John Jones versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. It's not even in the same league. So like, you know.
Also, WWE is not going to like it because neither of them are WWE people. Like if they're going to do a Ronda Rousey match at WrestleMania, it's going to be against someone from WWE. They're not going to give two MMA outside MMA people a showcase to fight.
And then since Ronda's left, the women's MMA fighting hasn't been as big of a spectacle. Like nobody's really looking forward to, which is unfortunate, but nobody's really looking. When Ronda Rousey's fighting, it was like a big pay-per-view event.
That's right.
And now everybody's just like, you know.
And
so
when she fights again, which I think she will, probably eventually. Oh, eventually.
In MMA or?
Yeah, in MMA. I bet you she will.
All right.
Eventually, before it's all said and done, it's gonna be a really big deal again. Watch. I mean, it's probably gonna be a few years down the road, but.
I don't know. It just feels like her.
I've heard everyone say, I don't know about everyone, and they all come back and do it again. Well, everyone.
It feels like, not that she's definitely not washed up, so it's not on her skill. It just seems like mentally, it's just like she's been there and done that, and she's ready to move on to something else.
Things change.
Okay, well, make sure you write that down, Jimbo. Ronda Rousey come back.
She will.
I would love to see that. And Cyborg is in the prime in a UFC octagon. That would be amazing. And if Ronda comes back and beats Chris Cyborg, that would be
epic.
Epic.
I mean, Cyborg's a lot bigger than she is.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Then UFC made a new weight class so that Cyborg could come in and have a belt.
Isn't that like 145?
145,
yeah. And Ronnie's like 135.
Next.
So,
Ric Flair is styling and profiling again. He's back. He made an appearance out and about. So the whole thing is there was pictures that surfaced a couple of days ago. He was at a military convention where one of his wife's sons was like a cadet. So he kind of made that appearance with that. And then also Charlotte Flair came up on WWE, and they have a book coming up, and she was thanking everybody about supporting everything, which is a great thing given everything else that happened earlier this week.
What's the book is called Second Coming? Is that what it's called? Something like that?
Second Nature.
Second Nature. I'm sorry, Second Coming. Durr.
And Flair also announced today that he's giving up drinking for good.
Okay, and I think, and I'm sure he means it. I hope he.
It's just tough
because he's able to hang in there with that because
like you can vouch for the fact that everywhere Ric Flair goes, everyone wants to buy him a drink.
That's right.
Or have him buy them a drink.
It's a part of the nature boy,
lavish
image,
lifestyle.
everything. It would be like akin to Stone Cold not drinking a beer. Not quite, but it's not quite.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Well,
shouldn't we talk about all that? Because we're talking about real life here. And
Ric Flair has been synonymous with partying longer than Steve Austin's even been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So partying, he's been talking about staying up all night drinking as long as he's been Ric Flair. So
the thing is okay, you have to, or you're not going to live.
Right.
Bottom line. That's so okay. I'm just happy that Rick's up and at him, and really was on his deathbed. Mm-hmm. So
I like the awareness.
All
that
this talk is amazing that we're even talking about this shit.
And I think what I like too is the awareness that he's bringing to it, because he even said in one of the interview that he recently did that he didn't realize that he was an alcoholic and he didn't see it like that. And then now he's saying I never want to touch that. That's not something that I want in my life. That isn't pretty. And even though it just raises awareness for other people with similar issues that don't see themselves in that same light. So I think to see someone like Ric Flair, say something like that, could be eye-opening.
It is, yeah, definitely. The thing is, I heard, and like you were just talking about Rick, he never really looked at himself as having a
problem.
Right. Well, because alcohol, some people, ridiculously enough, still think of alcohol as separate from drugs when it is the hardest of them all. Mm-hmm. Really, over a long haul. Medical studies have proven that over the long haul, even like worse than heroin. Like if you live through heroin use, like 10 years and excuse me, and match up somewhat 10 years alcohol use, the alcohol is worse.
Yeah.
It's worse. And just in this country we've gotten in society this idea that it's not a drug. Bullshit.
Well, people don't see it that way because they're like, "Oh, I'm a social drinker," so that's probably like why people don't realize
it. Yeah, but when you socialize 24 hours, 7 days a week, that's a lot of effing drinking.
So is he going into a program, or he just said he's stopped diving? I heard either way.
Yeah,
that will be.
He said he's never going to take another drink.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like, okay, you have to change other things in your life besides just not taking a drink.
Sure.
You have to work on things in your head that the things that make you want to keep drinking and get messed up
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, and I just really, I'm really just like everybody else, man. I'm rooting for him.
Well, it's a huge deal for someone at his age and his health, but withdrawals from alcohol are really bad.
Yeah, but he's way he's already, I guarantee you, been off of alcohol for way long enough to where there's no withdrawal issues.
Yeah, because they wouldn't be having him on the medication he's
No,
on.
and when somebody detoxes from alcohol, a lot of times they do it with medication, and they'll use like a benzodiazepine, like Librium or something like that, which that medication mimics the effects of alcohol in your body, so you won't have any withdrawals. And you know, alcohol withdrawals, along with benzo withdrawals, are deadly. Deadly. You will die from alcohol withdrawals.
So much, especially at his age.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much to deal with.
So
we're hoping for you, Nature Boy.
Love you, Nate.
Alex Riley sets the record straight for us. So did you get to see the promo that Roman Reigns cut this past week on Raw, or no?
No, not really. So
obviously him and John Cena have been going back and forth. This week is just Roman Reigns by himself, and he made mention of the fact that Alex Riley, he made mention of the fact that John Cena wasn't there that week or this week, and then he just said that Alex Riley is no longer in the WWE essentially because of John Cena. So that's kind of what he was hinting at. So Alex Riley was a guest on our show probably about a month or two ago.
A couple months ago.
So he kind of made a comment about that, and his comment was pretty much short and sweet. He said, "You're starting to see," and that was it. So the question is now, it's kind of felt like we're digging in between the lines of the promo, the rumors we hear, and now this tweet from Alex Riley.
I just don't understand how that was productive bringing that up unless they're bringing Alex Riley back to feud with John Cena or something.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all I'm wondering.
It just this whole feud has been peppered with dumb little insider tidbits that don't add anything to the. They're just there to like. Pop the smart fans.
Yeah, get fans to be like, "Ooh, this is serious."
And it's so like
this
useless.
is real.
Like they're like no matter what they say to each other, like there are certain things that Roman and Cena say to each other that make me buy it. That they really don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Them dropping little nuggets of like dirt sheet info is not the stuff that makes me buy that they don't like each other.
I almost feel like every week it's like, okay, who can hit the belt lower and lower and lower to see like what people come up. And I do agree with you. I don't know why they would name drop him if they're not planning on bringing him, because then it just doesn't make sense, because then you can just pretty much talk about anything that John Cena may or may have not done in order to bring light to Roman Reigns and John Cena feuding together. And I do what I like about his tweet that was that you're starting to see is that he actually used just the letter C. So you are reading in between the lines, and you're thinking like, okay, are we starting to see? I feel like what I took from this is that he's saying you guys are starting to see who John Cena really is, because we all know him as this guy who's caring, does all this amazing stuff, which he does. But then there's this other people that are saying no, this is who he really is, which I think is a little crazy. I don't know if maybe more people will jump on that wagon. I don't know.
Maybe this is just their way of slowly turning John Cena heel.
you go.
So here's my question.
I don't know. I just threw that out there. I just pulled it out of my ass. It wasn't
I don't know if it was Triple H or John Cena. I think it was Triple H that said like, "Oh, John Cena's been heel for the past like 6 years or whatever." Like, the crowds react to people how they react to people, and they've been treating John Cena like a heel for a long time. So
they have, but he hasn't had that. Technically, he hasn't had that heel turn.
Gone to the dark side,
and all of these people are just like it's not right if he doesn't have a
right.
A legitimate, official turn. I could give a shit less about official babyface turns.
I don't think they're ever going to officially turn him heel, but I think that like it's interesting that he's, this is happening now at No Mercy, this match, and he had his first match with Braun Strowman, and he had another first match. He had that first match with Shinsuke Nakamura, and it seems kind of weird that they're like running through all these first matches so fast when it's like they could build each one of these. It's kind of feels like a John Cena farewell tour.
Maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, he is busy, doing all the stuff that he's doing in Hollywood. But the whole talk about like him turning heel, I feel like if anything, the fans are liking John Cena a lot more because there's this like running joke. I don't know if you guys heard it that said it took Roman Reigns to make everybody else appreciate John Cena, which I thought was really funny that people are joking about that. But it's true for some people, So I mean, yeah.
When they cut a promo, do they give you? I'm assuming they don't give you the exact lines, but I'm not there. But do they tell you the high, or do they give you the exact lines? Because it feels like some people do it better than others, but you're still there without a script. Is there a teleprompter somewhere that we don't see? Like,
apparently some guys write it on their hands once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Who did that? Was it Cena?
The Rock.
Oh, The Rock did it. Oh, and Cena called him out on it
in the promo. Yeah.
Yeah, no, different guy. It's different for different people. They'll come and hand you a piece of paper with a bunch of dialogue on it and pretty much want you to stick to it.
Okay.
Depending on who you are, you can go, no, this sucks.
Because I'm wondering if you can kind of stick through it, but also maybe go off the script in where you would add like a sentence like that.
Look, when you're live on television, you can do whatever the F you want. Like, it's when you get back through the curtain, you got to deal with the consequences. So you're the boss when you're out there. As you might,
So do you think there were consequences for him even bringing up Alex Riley?
No.
They're just like, why would you say that?
Wasn't something.
That was scripted, very clear. Like, there's nothing that Roman Reigns ever says that's off script. Like, you can tell.
Ooh, shade there.
Roman Reigns is amazing.
I agree with you, but it's just very.
Alex Riley was episode 46 for our listeners that want to go back and check it out.
Yeah. All right.
Interview. So
don't we have that 1, 2, 3 in between news stories anymore?
We got it on the board.
Oh, okay.
We just hardly ever use it, or we haven't used it. So I don't know if Phil knew that we were going to cue it. Do you want to cue it?
Well, I kind of like that in between.
We can.
All right, Lydia, go ahead.
Next one. So did Jinder? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Thanks, Phil.
I've never heard that drop before, so that's fun.
Oh, so it's been a while. Yeah. Okay. Did Jinder Mahal go too far on SmackDown? So I think this is like last week.
This is the second week
he's done it. I don't think so, but there were a lot of tweets and a lot of people, even the audience was saying that you went too far. So what does everybody?
I mean, shouldn't we? I don't know. Maybe we should ask some Japanese folks.
Yeah, I think
they were offended. Well, go ahead, Denise.
I think it depends on the way that the context was said. I mean, granted, I know, TK, you mentioned earlier that, people, the way that Jinder's going about things in terms of, like, there's a lot of racism going on in the story, in Jinder's character overall, so him doing it to somebody else could be like, oh, wow, they're doing it to him sort of thing. But I think it just depends on how you take it and how it was said and all of that stuff. Is it appropriate to do it in this time and age? Probably not.
I don't know. I feel like there's just at the end of the day, there's just one hard and fast rule, which is unfortunate. Like, if he was a white guy doing it, then there'd be a bigger issue.
Yeah.
That's right.
But the fact that, Jinder Mahal is using those stereotypes, it, to me, didn't feel as bad. If you go to a comedy show and you see a Latino talking about African American, but he's well versed in that community, then I'm like, I get it, it's funny. But if it's somebody who's not, then that's where I take issue.
I think maybe some people might have an issue with it because even though Jinder said it, it wasn't him that wrote it.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's
probably Caucasian person probably wrote that.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm aware of any people of color on the writing staff.
Oh no, they do.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah. They have actually, I think, some Indian people awesome. Like of Indian ethnic background. Yeah.
I wish they put like the subtitles when he does talk in another language. I kind of really want.
That was funny when they were like, "That's too much," or like, "That's too far," and he's like, "If you think that's too far, wait till you hear what I say in like Farsi."
Yeah. I wish they would put
Punjabi.
that.
I think it's what he's doing. I think what they're doing with him with this thing with Shinsuke is really interesting, but like it's a really interesting thing that we've never really seen before in pro wrestling. Of like, here's like he says all these racist things, and then he turns around and says, "This is what you're gonna hear if you were to become champion, because that's what I hear from people." Like that's super like interesting and like groundbreaking, and like we've never heard anything like that. But at the same time, it's like the benefit of the doubt is perhaps a little bit lacking on like whether they're intending for this to be as progressive as it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And does he really hear it from?
Of course he does. Yeah.
But to that extent, though.
Well, I mean, they're saying different things about him.
Yeah, but few things here and there. Like we're all in the social media age, so we might get some hate here and there. But on a whole, does like a lot of racist comments coming at him all the time?
Are you talking about Jinder? Or
Jinder.
I'm sure he gets a fair share.
I didn't see that much backlash over this, honestly. I did.
Right.
I did enough for me to go back and watch it and find it because I didn't see it when it aired last night.
I feel, if anything, there was probably more backlash to a few weeks ago on SmackDown when they had when Jinder brought like the woman that was like they had the whole Indian celebration. You guys remember where they were like singing and the crowd was booing, and that one people were like, "Wow, that made Americans look so bad." They even showed children.
They booed the old lady she was singing the national anthem.
Yeah, that was like, if anything, I thought there was more backlash for that one because even when I was watching, I was like, "Oh man, we're not looking too good here," you know.
But this goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's wrestling, so it's okay. Like, we've become like accustomed to when a foreigner comes out to sing their national anthem, you boo, because Nikolai Volkov did that, and we all used to boo him, and that's the thing. So now that it's just another foreigner singing another national anthem, we're like, no, we're supposed to boo right here, right? He's the bad guy. We're supposed to boo.
See, Jimbo, you're referring to a conversation we had off air. For those that want to know what Jimbo's talking about when we were talking about it's just wrestling. There's always been this excuse when something controversial or effed up happens in wrestling, and it's always excused by it's just wrestling, and that's bullshit. Like, wrestling is part of the mainstream culture now, and it's part of it has to obey the same laws as everyone else. I mean, we had it for a lot of the history of our industry. We've just like feud to anybody that tried to tell us we had to follow laws or this or that. We're outlaws. We're pirates. But this is 2017, and now that it's just wrestling is bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
On the flip side, could you also say that with like the comedic industry, because you have people who are now they can't say. You have some comedians that are feeling pressure that they can't say, what's in their act, even though this has happened in society. Yeah. And then it's almost like, where is the safe zone in order to say these things? Now everybody's just saying it, behind closed doors, and now those stereotypes are getting bigger because you don't know whether those stereotypes are true.
I think it's a little different when you go into a comedy show or you're going to a professional wrestling event that's meant to a WWE event. That's the WWE universe is a really big tent. It's got children, it's got everyone from, it's got conservatives, liberals, everything is all mixed up in there. So it's just a little different. You got to worry about offending people. You really do in WWE.
And that's what
you don't have to worry about in other things.
That's what I found interesting, because even the thing with Roman Reigns and John Cena, they said bitch and they said,
that's
shit.
different.
It's different, but there's still kids there. So it's not, I know it's two different things, but then that's kind of made me think as well. It's like, who are we?
That's so like, it's, to me, that's not even apples and oranges, because one's fruit and one isn't, you know?
It's apples and meat.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, because shit, that's just a word, like, shit.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah. And kids here, like, but, I'm pretty sure parents would rather their kids be exposed to the word shit or bitch than to,
racial slurs.
Or, things of that nature.
So do you think it was just the writer who made the call and Jinder is just following protocol and this is what we have? And
I don't know. Because Jinder said he was he mentioned that he had final say on things, creative control over that aspect. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So, I guess, it was okay with Jinder. Anyway.
Okay. Well, leads us to No Mercy, which is happening on Sunday in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Will you be going?
Yeah, unless I get heat for this episode.
So is there anything that you're looking forward to? Any matches you're looking forward to? Or anybody else is looking for?
Everyone's looking forward to Braun Strowman and Brock. Mm-hmm. That's a huge matchup. That's a bigger matchup than No Mercy, if you ask me. Like, to me, that's a main event for like a SummerSlam or something like that. To me.
Yeah.
No, but that's just me,
It feels like this could easily be next year's WrestleMania.
Yes, yeah.
Because people love Braun so much right now. They could have kept them apart for another 6 months and just kept people getting more and more eager to see this match.
Yeah.
I think the card itself is okay. It's nothing like really like major, but the whole Brock Braun, that's what's making No Mercy like really like, oh, I'm excited to watch it. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see it because we're all waiting for that like really like awesome moment between these two guys, because we've been seeing so many awesome stuff that's been going on. They've been building it up so well on Raw that I'm just so excited to see this, and thank God it's happening here in LA. I'm being biased on that.
So, but what's the undercard?
Cena and Roman.
Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, Alexis Bliss, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Emma, and Bayley.
See, those are all strong matches that I would argue, like, it's not a card, it's just the build-up for it. It's been kind of
I think the build-up's been really good for the two top matches. Yeah, I think people are actually really excited about it.
But what about, like, the Bray Wyatt Finn stuff?
Oh, well, that...
What the fuck? Sorry, hey, guys in the booth. Today's just one of those days. Yeah, sure. It's an F-bomb day. Sorry.
It's fine.
Neville, Enzo,
Jason Jordan, and The Miz.
Which, I don't know, what do you feel about this Jason Jordan? Is this the story that it's supposed to take? Because it just feels like favoritism. I know it's probably played out.
Nepotism.
Yeah, it feels like, oh, well, he's there, and now let me give it another chance. What other people kind of deserved another chance at.
I think they're going, like, I think they have a destination they're aiming towards. I think they have... I have my ideas of where they're going with it. I mean, do you guys? Do you, Bill? You guys?
Yeah, I think that, the seeds are all planted for a Jason Jordan heel turn eventually.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
But whether or not we'll actually get
against his father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Because, eventually, like, they could line it up and eventually Miz could be proven right about everything he's been saying about Kurt Angle, and that'll make Jason Jordan turn. We could get Jason Jordan as part of the Miz Tourage, maybe. Jason Jordan some flashy suits.
No, please don't do that.
That'd be hilarious.
And then your good friend Enzo and Neville, they're gonna be.
Dang.
Shade.
She said it like it's an epithet.
I like Enzo.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Enzo and Neville for the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
I don't think Enzo has a chance.
No, but I think it'll be better than people think because those guys are tight. Yeah. I think Neville might be one of the only guys that likes Enzo right now.
Oh. How sad. So, I don't know if you can answer this. So, is this true? Pretty much everybody in the locker room is just not a fan.
I could only... Me saying that would be only commenting on secondhand stuff that you guys... I mean, you guys are just as privy as I am to any of that info. I haven't asked.
Okay.
I haven't called anybody and said, hey, what's up with Enzo? I just have other things going on.
So where do you think they have a storyline for him, or do you think they're just throwing stuff at the wall and it's just like, he's...
It's kind of storyline-ish.
Okay.
Isn't it, Bill? What do you think?
It's storyline-ish in the sense that they're telling a story about how Enzo's worthless, basically. Like he gets to look strong on 205 Live, which is weird and sort of counterproductive because everyone beats the crap out of him on the main roster. So what does that say about your 205 Live guys? That
I did hear he was like pulling guys aside and trying to tell them how to do their deal. Cruiserweight wrestling.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I got some. Some pretty good stories about that. Anyways, it's kind of funny.
That's always wonderful.
Telling guys how to get over and how to work better.
Enzo's.
But you know what? Honestly, in Enzo, like there are certain things that Enzo really might be able to help some of those guys out with, like all joking and bullshitting aside. And I could see how somebody might roll their eyes at him, but like there are certain things that Enzo's way better than any of those guys.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And even if someone's giving you criticism, you don't have to take everything to heart, word for word. Right. But there might be one thing out of the 10 things they say that sticks with you, and then you take that and incorporate that in your matches or whatnot.
Anyway.
So what does everybody think about John Cena and Roman Reigns? He's excited about it, want it to be over.
I'm mildly interested.
I think it could go obviously one of two ways. It could be really good, and it's finally all of their controversial segments that they've been having finally clashing, or it could just be a whatever sort of thing. So it could go either way for this one.
Oh, it's going to be a good match.
Happen.
It's going to be a good match because they're both excellent performers.
I think it would have been another level if one of them had a belt.
I don't think that they need one. I think that John Cena and Roman Reigns for the first time is a big enough deal. Again, that's another thing that they could have held off until WrestleMania. Yeah. But they want to do it to counter program to NFL or show that they're a big deal year round. Or
maybe these are the seeds to plant for WrestleMania.
Sure. Yeah. But I think this match is going to be awesome. Both of these guys are great.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
And Roman Reigns always delivers in big matches.
So does John.
John Cena always delivers in big matches. So
I'm curious to see how the crowd's going to react.
It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Two people that, especially in LA, where we're the smart fans that like to boo the good guys and cheer the bad guys, kind of thing.
The last time when I was at the last house show they had at the Staples Center, or was that Anaheim? What was that?
I think it was Staples.
Either way, it's the same market.
Yeah.
It was Roman versus Kevin Owens. Yeah, and Roman was over huge with the people here in LA in that building that night.
So is there certain audiences? So I noticed when I went to Raw and SmackDown in Toronto, the Toronto audience is totally different from the one in Staples versus even the one in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Is there certain audiences that you're fans of, or you got over, or do you remember the most, or?
They're just you have to know when you've been going to these towns long enough over and over again, you kind of know how if you pay attention, you kind of know how they're going to react to certain things. I don't know. It's just it's just going to be like that. LA is going to be different. Going to be different than New York or Toronto.
Yeah, it blew my mind. Toronto crowd was.
Yeah, each crowd is gonna have their own thing. It's kind of like the WrestleMania crowd. You know that they're gonna be different from year round and stuff like that. So.
All right, so WWE might be bringing back a network special in November, and that is going to be Starrcade. Anybody excited?
Oh, it's coming back, right?
Yeah, they said it's going to be coming back in November.
It's a house show. It's a live event.
It's a live event that they're gonna
on a Saturday.
They're gonna tape for.
I don't know. It's not as of right now. It's not a special. It's not a
network
special.
They say November 25th, I believe.
Isn't it like Thanksgiving?
Well, that's when traditionally Starrcade from the start was a Thanksgiving Day show. So I went to actually it wasn't the first one. And even the second one, when I went to it, it was on closed circuit television. And I went to Orlando from St. Petersburg, Florida, to the Eddie Graham Sports Stadium, which is no longer in existence, and watched Starrcade was at 84, right?
Oh wow.
That not 83. I watched the second one.
Yeah, Starrcade 84 was the second one.
Yeah, but anyway, there's like some scuttlebutt surrounding this with tweets and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Also, there's speculation that the reason that they're calling it Starrcade is because there's like an old timers convention like across town on the same day. Like,
oh, is that
really?
Is that this WrestleCade?
WrestleCade, yeah.
Oh no!
I
didn't know that.
They asked Lawler about the possibility that that's why they did it on Lawler's latest podcast, and Lawler was like, maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. I didn't even think of that because I don't go do that, right?
Because that guy doesn't like my agent, and so I'm like, well, you got to deal with my agent. You want me to come?
Yeah.
So. Sorry.
Like, in a way you fans at WrestleCade obviously miss old wrestling, so come to Starrcade? Or is it a way of like, we'll show them, we'll draw way bigger than them because we're going to run opposite them? Does that make sense? Like, which one of those two?
It seems like it could
on
be
the borderline.
And honestly, like, it seems like it could be a kind of a predatory decision, in my opinion. But whatever.
They do a lot of there's a lot of times where there's some mean-spirited stuff going on.
Well, either way, I would hope to see more stuff that WWE brings back from WCW. Like, I would like to see them bring back Halloween Havoc, because, I mean, that's just a killer name right there, first of all.
Talked about that recently. They don't have the rights to it.
Oh, I thought they did, though, that was trademarked for them.
Cody's talked many times about how I think isn't it Paul's been pushing for War Games like again and again.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's been pushing.
Yeah, Vince doesn't like the idea with the two rings.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And Cody said that they came close to doing a War Games at one point, and then it got pulled.
Really? With two rings?
Yeah.
Huh. Because it really wouldn't be War Games like I remember it, but you could still do the same concept with just one cage.
Well, that's basically what Elimination Chamber is.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Why doesn't Vince like the two rings in the one cage?
Because
it looks bad
It
presentation-wise.
screws everything up. Visually, it's awful. Sorry, I always thought that sucked.
It's weird to look at, like, to be at a show and like look and see two rings.
So if you're on this side of the building, like every other match they switch rings for the match. So like it just sucks, Jimbo.
Oh, they switch rings every match. Oh, well, at least there's that.
Yeah, but every other match you're looking at it's just stupid.
You're like, which match is my section gonna see?
Yeah, that part I just. And they, it's something they did traditionally, even like in Championship Wrestling from Florida when I was a kid. They would have like U.S. Open Battle Royal, and they would have two rings. Mm-hmm. And even in WCW, they tripled down on it and went with three rings for the World War III Battle Royal.
That was a cluster.
Yeah. I mean,
the visual presentation of World War III is so horrible and so awful to watch with the three screens, and it's just there's nothing happening.
Because here's the thing: when somebody like all that stuff, those concepts are almost always come up with by people that don't have the actual in-ring experience. Because anybody that knows what's up in the ring knows, like, you don't split the people's attention during a wrestling match. Mm-hmm. You don't have shit going on over here and shit going on over here at the same time. It's just because like what happens when something good happens over here, and you miss it. It's just, that's why sometimes you'll see like when if you're not paying attention to the action that's going on, you look over, you'll see like guys outside the ring sometimes that are supposed to be selling, and they're just sitting there waiting. It's because they know nobody's looking at them, because everyone's looking at what's going on, the main thing that's going on. So, guys should probably do a little bit better job of selling, but true. Anyways, that's why.
What if they did? Well, what if they? Would it still? I mean, I know it'd still be like visually unappealing, but like, what if they did a thing where they did War Games, but for all the non-War Games matches, they did matches where it's like both rings are legal, where guys are going to be using both rings.
Yeah.
That'd be cool for the 205 Live guys.
Here's the thing,
they'd be jumping all over.
Like a scramble.
It was like this one time they had the Lethal Lockdown and TNA. And then somebody was just joking to Dixie, Oh yeah, how about every match be inside the 6 sides of steel? Oh, that's a great idea. Next thing you know, every freaking match.
They did a Hell in a Cell like that too, right? That one of the Hell in a Cell.
Where you had to climb out the top?
No, it wasn't one of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-views. All of the matches were inside Hell in a Cell.
I think they might have been.
I think they did that one year.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, the Ultimate Escape though.
Oh yeah, that was the worst.
That was such a bad.
Like, Homicide's like, I'm not going to be able to climb out of this.
I just went to, like, when I did that same stupid match in AAA, I didn't climb up through the top. Yeah. I climbed out just to whatever one I could get to. And they were like, no, you didn't climb through the top. I'm like, F you. I'm done. I'm out of this match and I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, watching those guys try and get upside down and get out, that's horrifying.
Or they're trying to push Super Porky up through the frickin'. You couldn't even get through the goddamn hole. No. That was the biggest pop of the match, actually getting Super Porky through the hole.
Amazing. That's so good.
Jesus.
I love that. Oh goodness. Oh, we're laughing now. Go something a little somber.
I'll fix that.
One of the most iconic personalities in wrestling history has passed away. We talked about it in the beginning, but the Bobby the Brain Heenan has passed away at 73. So do you have any memories that you can share with us?
I think everybody has memories of Bobby the Brain.
Were you really close with him?
Not really close, but he was really good to me, and he was a fan of mine, and he made sure I knew it all the time, which was really cool.
Because he was there on commentary when you started with WWF.
When the kid beat Razor Ramon, it was Vince, Randy Savage, and Bobby the Brain on commentary.
Wow.
And that's what knocked it out of the park was their reaction to all that. Yeah, it was awesome. Bobby's timing, comedic timing was amazing. You guys have anything that sticks out, particular moments? Yeah.
From Bobby?
Yeah.
Him commentating on the Royal Rumble, and Piper's about to throw one of his guys out, and he's like, "Oh, don't do it. He's good. It's a kilt. I swear it's a kilt." And then he throws him out. And he's like, "It's a skirt. That man's wearing a skirt." Just instantly changes his persona of "No, I really like you. Be good to my man. No, I hate you, man. That's my guy."
Did you ever see that meme of where he's doing something with Mean Gene, and he goes to shake his hand, and Mean Gene goes to shake his hand, and he goes like this and scratches his head, and then he goes to shake his hand again, and Gene goes for it again, and he does something else. It was just, you got to see it. It's funny. I guess you had to be there.
I love him trying to escape the NWO by climbing over.
Getting his feet caught in the wires. Yeah. I was out there for that actually. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And when he was trying to sneak back in the Manhattan Center during Monday Night Raw, is dressed in drag and then dressed as the
rabbi,
a Hasidic Jew. Yeah. All just classic stuff, man.
Well, when you started, he had transitioned out of being a manager, and he was just an announcer. Was he still a guy that would impart wisdom backstage and people would sit under his learning tree?
I'm sure, but I just wasn't around him long enough in WWF.
In WCW, was he?
It was just a different environment than Bill, It was just, in WCW, guys were just kind of hanging around the guys they knew, and, so everyone Bobby knew didn't really need to be on the learning tree anymore.
Did him and Lee Marshall really get along, or was that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Why?
Because
I don't know. I heard that there was
every week he would call in.
And Tony Schiavone.
Well, every week Lee Marshall would call in to do the road report, and he'd always insult Heenan, and Heenan always sold it like he hated Lee Marshall's guts. So I'm sure it was just him being a master worker, but it would be sad and also funny to know that they had real heat in real life.
The only match I ever had with Kurt, I had a singles match with Kurt Hennig, and it was in St. Petersburg, Florida, at a promotion called IPW. St. Pete's my hometown, by the way. And Bobby was the guest ring announcer for the match, and it was after he had already been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that was one of the last times I saw Bobby where he could actually talk.
Yeah.
After that, it was, next time I remember seeing Bobby, he didn't even have his jaw anymore. Yeah. So it's just really it's awful to think about the fact that this guy that was known for his gift of gab had his gift of gab taken from him for the last well over a decade of his life, and he still like maintained pretty good spirits, man.
Well, it's like Roger Ebert. You know, if you've ever seen that documentary about Roger Ebert, like his living was that he talked about movies.
Yeah. And
then he had that taken away from him, but he never lost his upbeat outlook on life. Yeah. Denise, you wanted to?
Oh, yeah. No, I wanted to say that one of the things about Bobby is that I really liked his character, who he was as a person, because, like, for example, when he was in AWA and he left, he never once said anything bad about Vern. Same thing when he went to WCW. He never said anything bad about Vince.
In public, I'm talking about Vern anyway.
So, you know, I think that that's one of the things. And then also, like, for example, like, he put over Goldberg a lot, you know, in WCW. And that's one of the things that he knew. Like, he had been in wrestling for such a long time that he knew the company needed someone like Goldberg to, like, really push and have him and, you know, bring him to light, which he did, you know. So I liked the fact that he had this knowledge and that he had a good character of a person and kind of brought it in together.
Yeah.
For me, like, I discovered pro wrestling when I was 7 or 8, I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it existed until one day on a Sunday I was flipping through channels and I saw Demolition. That was the first thing I ever saw in wrestling. I stopped on a channel and I was like, what is this? These guys with painted faces in a big crowd? Like, what is happening? And I just stopped and I watched it. And, you know, very shortly after that I learned, like, oh, this is on a couple times a week. Oh, this is on Monday nights? I wasn't allowed to stay up that late, but I could watch the first hour of primetime wrestling. Yeah. So, like, my very formative, like, the first things I ever saw in pro wrestling was voiced by Bobby Heenan, and Bobby Heenan was a big part of the on-screen experience. Like, primetime wrestling, for me, is, like, one of the most iconic images I can think of Bobby and Gorilla sitting side by side in that set. And it was just, you know, that's my childhood.
I even liked the primetime wrestling with Vince.
Yeah.
Bobby, Kurt Hennig, and Roddy Piper.
Yeah, the round table.
Yeah,
that was good. I like primetime wrestling a lot. It was a cool format.
Yes.
Like, maybe they should. If they were ever, they're never gonna do it. But if they ever did an off season in WWE, that'd be the perfect way to do it. Is to bring back that sort of format and do clips and have people talk about stuff. Yeah. But I that was my first exposure to Bobby, and the only time I ever met him was after he had stopped speaking. His wife had to translate for him. So it was. I'm glad that I got to meet him.
He was the greatest at getting egg on his face.
Yeah.
You know that it was.
He was always the butt of the joke.
Exactly, and like as we're talking just a second ago, this vision came to my head. This image of WrestleMania 9 with him like on a camel. You remember that?
Oh yeah, backwards.
Yeah, it was just classic.
Backwards on the camel, trying to ride out there.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and you know, going back further in his career into the AWA days and all that, like, you know, he was a fantastic in-ring performer. You know, he wasn't the guy everyone was picking to be the champion of the territory or anything, but what he did inside the ring, I mean, it got incredible reactions. Have you seen any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Like the Weasel suit stuff with, you know, I hate to say his name, but Buck Rock and Roll Zumhoff.
Right.
I think that's what Triple H had said when TMZ had caught him. He's like, not only was he a great announcer, but as a wrestler, he was amazing. So they showed some clips.
He was, yes, and his interaction with his with the people he managed, I thought he was the best at. Like, just and especially. I didn't think that a manager and wrestler were any better together than Bobby the Brain Heenan and Nick Bockwinkel as AWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah. And the amazing thing about this, and I think I might have talked to you about this before, is like you go back and you look at old like 80s, 70s stuff. A lot of the times when a guy had a manager, the guy could talk really well for himself, but it's just like having Bobby also. Like Nick Bockwinkel's promos are amazing.
Yes.
He's one of the greatest talkers of all time. Maybe the most underrated talker of all time.
He was so intelligent that he must have had like all these degrees and, you know, college degrees and everything. Yeah.
But Heenan just added so much more.
Yep.
And it's just amazing. Like, you go back and you look at all these old guys that Heenan managed, and for the most part, most of them could talk for themselves, but no one could do what Bobby did.
See, he managed the Blackjacks, and Lanza and Mulligan could both talk just fine, especially Blackjack Mulligan. So, yeah, that was... I wanted to try to get Jack Lanza on the show. Yeah. He's 80-some years old now, and he's still sharp as a razor.
So that Mulligan stuff, like that, so that means that talking must be hereditary then, because both of his... all of his kids can do it just fine.
Yep.
Do you think Bobby saw his career and was like, I could wrestle for this many years and probably be beaten up, or I could be a manager and have this long of a career and so much of an influence on wrestlers, and that's why he went that route instead of that route?
I just think that, you know, eventually his body started hurting him. You know, he started... I mean, it wasn't like he was an Adonis... And from Jump Street, you know, he was kind of not that wrestler.
But he was a good hand, as you would say.
Beyond good hand. I mean, he was brilliant inside the ring. There's one clip I saw of him in the ring with Hogan giving him just a straight punch from St. Paul Civic Center, and just the way he went ass over tea kettle. I mean, his legs went over his head. It was amazing, and it's no surprise that, like, right after I met Bobby, he had a neck brace on, because he just, you know, had to have cervical fusion surgery. So, because he just kept, you know, even into his managerial career, he would take some pretty spectacular bumps.
Oh yeah.
You know, he'd feed in at the right time, and boom,
with people like
do
Warrior, doing things with Warrior. Red Rooster, the Red Rooster match was always classic. When he comes out and he's got Andre the Giant singlet on.
Yeah.
That was so great. I really hope that Mattel, well, they have the rights, they can make a Bobby Heenan. I don't know if they have the rights to Gorilla Monsoon, but I really hope we get a Mattel Bobby Heenan Gorilla Monsoon 2-pack.
That'd be great. Like
prime time with like the prime time set you could build or something.
And just the people that Heenan managed, like Bockwinkel, Andre, like
Haku,
Perfect, even
the Brainbusters,
Barbarian, Barbarian, I think, is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Like, that dude's amazing. Like, if you go back and watch his stuff, like, he's...
Barbie, when he first came to Florida, like, I remember, like, his first TV match, he just, like, did this diving headbutt off the top rope to, you know, all the way across the ring onto this guy.
Like, if they had, when he split from the Powers of Pain, if Vince had chosen to not dress him like that, like, it's possible.
With that freaking...
The antlers, right? Yeah. The antlers and the fur, right? Yeah.
Because he wanted him to look like an actual barbarian.
Well, I mean, because, you know, like in Tonga, they have tons of furry elk and all that for them to kill. Yeah.
They're known for their venison.
Exactly.
In Tonga.
It's so great.
And so, like, and, you know, Bobby, I'm trying to think of other guys he managed.
Harley Race?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, King Harley Race. Yeah, I was going through the, you know, WWE Network stuff, looking at all the different stuff he was involved in, and, you know, when I did the Bobby the Brain Heenan search, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, I was scrolling down for like 2 minutes straight.
Oh, didn't he? Wasn't he in charge of Hercules Hernandez when he first?
Yeah. And WrestleMania 3, Hercules Hernandez versus Billy Jack Haynes, Full Nelson versus Full Nelson challenge.
That's also one of my very earliest memories of pro wrestling is Haynes getting the color and me being horrified seeing the.
Did you remember when he threw
I was just gonna say when he throws up on him on the outside. He like puts him in the Full Nelson on the outside and he just throws up all over his back. Oh man, poor guy. Poor guy.
Hey, it's. And you know, a lot of people were pissed at Bobby for this, but you know where I'm going with this one. When he asked whose side Hogan was on when he came out for
when he blew it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because they weren't no one was wising up to it, right?
Yeah.
He just guessed it.
Yeah. Yeah, because nobody smartened him up. That's WCW's fault for not smartening him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your opinion, should the announcers always be in on what's going to happen?
I think so, because it's way too important. They're the ones that are telling the story. they need to be in on it because they might say something wrong.
Because like Jim Ross says that it helps him to be purely spontaneous and in the moment and not know what's coming.
Then probably I would go with what Jim says because Jim's done a lot more play-by-play or color than I have.
Got it. Do you have any insight on when Heenan retired from managing to go into broadcasting in WWF, and then he brought in the coach to take over for him?
The coach?
Yeah.
Which one was that? You're talking about John Tolos?
Yes.
Yeah. No, but I know that they ribbed John Tolos unmercifully in the dressing room. And I can't remember why, but Kurt would tell me about it, yeah.
Because Coach didn't last long.
No. It was one of the, apparently, he rubbed people the wrong way.
What else was Tolos from? Like, was he a manager elsewhere? Or?
No, he was the Golden Greek, him and his brother. They were, Golden Greek John Tolos and Jimmy Tolos, I think was his brother's name. Mm-hmm. They were big here in the in this territory. From
like the Ray Stevens,
the Olympic and all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the LaBelle promotion.
Got it.
So, oh shit! No, I had a brain
Sorry.
fart. Go ahead. Keep on asking me stuff, Bill. I like that when you ask me stuff.
Well, when Bobby broke character on Nitro with Brian Pillman, that was like a big moment.
Oh yeah, didn't he say the F-bomb?
He said the F word, yeah, because Pillman started like rubbing his shoulders and messing with him, and he didn't know what kind of character Brian Pillman was playing, and
he said he didn't expect that. Or something.
And remember one time Gordon Soley got lost on Bugsy McGraw one time. Bugsy comes out and like rubs his hair and messes his hair all up and shit. Yeah, Gordon was pissed. He was probably half drunk too. Yeah. Oh,
also Rick Rude, another guy that Heenan had. Like he just basically like all the top heels that you could ever think of. Bobby Heenan had a hand in their
Buddy
career.
Rose, Ken Patera, Paul Orndorff, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah,
Rude's another dude who's a super underrated talker. Like that guy, man alive.
Everything he did, he was great at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to work with him much?
No. I didn't really know him that well because he left Minnesota before I moved back there.
And he had retired by the time he went to WCW.
We were all had close friends with each other, but we didn't know each other very well.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like always in the other company when
That's
you were...
right. Yeah. So we were both DX and NWO, but we were,
Oh, he was the only other guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. We love you, Bobby. It sucks. So, anything else going on?
Every heel commentator will always, if you want to look in the books to see how you do it, you're going to look at Bobby. That's what you're going to do.
I think that's what makes Corey Graves so good is because he's the midpoint between Bobby and Jesse. Like, he has studied, it's clear he's studied both of them so intensely. He's more Jesse than Bobby. No, that's right. He's studying them both so intensely, but he's his own voice. But he takes his motivations from both of them.
Yeah, he even put out a tweet, like, without him, there'd be no me.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Heenan, Paul Bearer, in the early days when he would be Percy Pringle, really copied Bobby Heenan with the blonde hair and the white suits. And then when he met him, he's like, don't copy me. He's like, why? He's like, because I'm bad enough. It's hard enough for me to get a job. Why do you want to be like me? So it's just crazy to see all the influential managers.
There's not going to be any more. I mean, it's pretty much impossible for the most part for there to be any more like Bobby, even close, because obviously we don't really have that. Yeah. We don't cast those characters in wrestling anymore.
That's what Enzo should be, man. Enzo should be a manager. That's just it.
I could see him being like a modern day Captain Lou.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because Captain Lou played both sides of the coin too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Enzo's even looks as crazy as Captain Lou did.
Yeah. And always on the bubble, just right on the edge of getting fired.
And was Captain Lou always in trouble?
Oh yeah, he got fired a bunch of times. Yeah, he'd get drunk, run his mouth, and get fired, and then brought back the next day. Yeah. But
Bobby was never in trouble like that, right?
Never.
He was always beloved. Right?
Yeah. It was really sad, though, when he left WWF to go to WCW.
Was it purely like a money decision?
It was. They didn't renew his contract. They were trying to get new blood in there, and, remember right at that point they had Todd Pettengill and
Sean Mooney,
and, even they had
Doc Hendricks.
Charlie Min.
Who was for the first, half dozen or dozen episodes of Raw, they had some comedian who was in the third chair?
Yeah, Rob something, right? Yeah, he
Didn't
sucked.
work out.
Yeah, but No, I can't. He was like a New York radio personality as well.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah,
but Todd Pettengill did good.
Yeah, I like Todd Pettengill. I liked all the. I like Pettengill, Mooney, and Kelly. I think they're all good.
Yeah. We love you, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the greatest of all time. Anybody else have anything to say? No? All right. It's a funky episode.
That's so. And with some Twitter handles, is there anything that Sean's doing in the next week or so? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Social media.
I'm going to Australia pretty soon.
Cool.
On October 24th,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, Austin Aries is going.
Headbangers.
Ricochet, Cage is going. Yeah, I saw the Headbangers on there. Zack Sabre Jr.
Do you want to talk about all the love you got from your bar wrestling performance? All these wrestlers that are like, holy shit, X-Pac can still go. And then Ricochet, and you're like, oh, yeah, I couldn't hold a candle to you. And he's like, what, are you kidding me? Everyone. Brian Cage, Ricochet.
It's nice of him to put me over like that, but nobody can do the things that Ricochet does. That guy's, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And when at PWG, you have guys like Cage going out there and doing all this high flying, and amazing. Brian Cage did shit I could never ever do in my entire life.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of cool that Ricochet went out there and displayed some power moves instead of just doing the high flying, and he did them well. That's one strong dude.
Yeah.
Pound for pound as strong as anyone.
Imagine if he'd never gone to Dragon Gate and she hadn't taught him about working out.
Yeah, hadn't molded him into the way he is
Well, when he
now.
was on here, he said, when he came on the show, he said that he got bigger because of his, because of his WWE tryout, and they kind of were telling him he needs to put on weight, and that's what made him.
Well, bigger, but he had, like, when you watch, like, when he started out, when he was 19, and him and Chuck Taylor were just wrestling each other in every promotion in the world, skinniest kid, like, back when he, was in Chikara for a while, like, just this rail skinny kid. And it wasn't until Shima took him to Dragon Gate that he thought about building muscle mass at all. Right. So that's really where he changed into, like, he started becoming modern Ricochet.
Yeah, everything changed. His look, his gear, all of it.
I still love the stories about how Dragon Gate scouts people and then they just want to see the move. They're like, show, like, we want to see your coolest move. Like, they don't want to see a trial match. They just want to see your cool move. And if you have a cool enough move, they'll take you to Japan.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
That's Ricochet's double moonsault got him to Japan. Huh. And that's why it got him there. And then while he was there, he realized slowly, like, I don't have to do this anymore. And so he eventually stopped.
Nice.
Yeah, if you ask him, he's like, I don't do flips, I do suplexes. What?
Anyways, it was nice. It felt good. It felt good. Everyone thinks I can still go out there and do it.
Are you gonna lock up with him when you go to Australia?
I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't
might put in the word.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you and Cage against Ricochet and somebody.
I know I'm gonna team with Austin Aries over there at one point.
Nice.
The new Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, I think we both requested it separately, so I think that's gonna happen. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, it felt great, Jimbo. It feels good. People saying I can still go do it. It made me decide I'm just going to keep on wrestling as long as I feel like it.
Awesome.
And I do feel like it, so that's that. And did I mention that I love Bobby the Brain Heenan?
Yes.
You did.
All right then. I guess that means that we can do our obligatory pleasantries on the way out and then call this a wrap.
All right.
Sounds good.
So Jimbo.
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth.
You guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo.
You can find me everywhere on social media at Sundown Motel. And please check out withspandex.com, uprocks.com/pro wrestling. Today we just dropped the latest episode of McMansplaining, the With Spandex podcast. And it's a really cool Mae Young special. Brandon Stroud got to go to the red carpet. So we've got interviews there with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Candice LeRae, Mercedes Martinez, Mauro Ranallo, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. Really, really amazing podcast, and we hope you will enjoy it.
Cool.
Nice. You can follow us on everything on AfterBuzz TV, Twitter, The Real X-Pac, Facebook. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. Facebook is X-Pac12360 Show, and then also IG, X-Pac12360. iTunes, 5 stars. We don't want anything else. We do read all your comments on YouTube, so make sure to do all of that. Also, celebritym.com/Sean Waltman to get all your customized, personalized, and unique videos, and pro wrestling tees /Sean Waltman as well to buy shirts there. And one last thing, there's a lot of natural disasters that's been happening, earthquakes, hurricanes, etc. You can go to redcross.org/disaster/relief. And my name is TK Trinidad. You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad.
Do I need to give out my stuff too?
I just gave it
you
to you,
just
but you
did
can
it for
give it
me?
to
Yeah.
On Twitter at The Real Xbox.
She does your work for you. She's your mouthpiece.
Love you, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Greatest of all time. Ever.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Jimbo Frank and TK Trinidad, managing producer of AfterBuzz TV Wrestling Mark Donica, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube, follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac, and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com. This has been a presentation of the AfterBuzz TV Network. Buzz ya later!